Hi guys, welcome to another edition of Gold Bazan. Today we're gonna be doing, a special edition of the Persian Golf League. Sorry, it's been a while we haven't done this. Everybody has different priorities. But today we're obviously joined by the great Sina Saemian and regular panelists, one of the directors of Gold Bazan, and we have Arash Eftekhari, which you've heard before. He was working with Persian on a pod that we did. It's great to have you two on, and looking forward to speaking to you guys. How you guys doing?
Hi, Pasha. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
Doing good. Good to be back, Pasha.
Alrighty, awesome, guys. Well, first off, let's just talk about, the Persian Golf League. Let's just do, obviously, the league has started, a couple weeks has gone in. Let's do a little preview of initially what you guys thought. Coming off with you, Sina, obviously, as we know, the transfer window is going on, and surprisingly, SLL isn't doing really well, and Persepolis has been phenomenal during the transfer window, as I should say, and the squad they have right now, it seems like a 4-4-2 diamond. It's spectacular. So before we get into specifics of the teams and everything, if you could give us your synopsis of the transfer window, which teams you believe have strengthened, which teams have been poor with the transfer window, and then we'll just go from there, and I'll just pass that on to Art.
Yeah, it's been an eventful transfer window across the league. But I thought after how last season ended, I thought it was pretty. You could predict that Esteghlal and Persepolis were going to have a big summer ahead. Esteghlal had a major clear out. They've brought in a lot of players. They have a new manager in charge, of course, with Ali Reza Mansourian coming over from NAFT, and they brought in a lot of players on some pretty big wages as well. So there was a lot expected of this team last season, but they failed to achieve and reach the expectations of the fans. So it was expected that the club will go into the summer looking to buy a lot of star players, and they did. I think two of the major transfers of the summer was the signing of Kaveh Rezai from Zobahan, 24-year-old striker. He's been in the national team as well. He was valued a lot at Zobahan, so he made a lot of noise when he decided to sign for Esteghlal. As was Bakhtiar Rahmani's decision to join Esteghlal too. He's a central and attacking midfielder, playmaker sort of player who Esteghlal has been missing for the last few years. So his arrival was pretty much a big deal for Esteghlal. And there was other players as well, such as Ali Ghorbani and Arash Eftekhari, and probably the most controversial transfer of the summer, Hossein Kanani, decided to sign for Esteghlal from Persepolis. So that was Esteghlал's transfer window. I thought, before the ball was kicked at the beginning of the season, you'd think they've done pretty well in the window. They've brought in some great players, some great additions, good young players as well. But obviously, as the last few weeks have gone, they've failed to really reach the expectations that was set for them before the season. Whereas, excuse me, Persepolis didn't really have a huge summer. They didn't really spend as much as Esteghlal. They lost Ramin Rezayan, of course, where we've all heard of the controversy with him going to Turkey and then deciding to terminate his contract, as was the case with Taremi, but he returned to Persepolis. They've signed two Ukrainian players, Polyansky and Priamov. But apart from that, there hasn't been any big signings. Of course, Vahid Amiri and Jalal Hosseini as well, they arrived from NAFTA Tehran. I think Jalal Hosseini will be a huge signing for them. He's been appointed as captain for the coming season, and I think his experience will definitely help them, especially because they leaked a lot of goals last season, and his leadership and his defensive skills will definitely improve Persepolis' defensive record. But I think one of the main transfers this summer was the arrival of Alireza Beyranban from NAFTA Tehran as well. Possibly the best goalkeeper play in the Iranian domestic league. He hasn't conceded against Persepolis when he was at Naft for 2 years, and it was it was demand of a lot of fans for him to sign for Persepolis, and when he did, I think it calmed a lot of nerves, because Persepolis have failed to really find a great number one goalkeeper for a number of years, and I think he will have definitely help Persepolis' cause in trying to win their first league title since 2008.
So coming off with you, Arash, is there anything specifically you wanted to add?
Well, a lot of it was already just shared. I mean, Des Esteghlal, they got a lot of good players. I know right now their fans are not happy. I'll be quick to say, I mean, I'm not an Esteghlal Tehran fan, but there's so much time left in the season. Some things could turn around really fast, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do get things rolling under Ali Reza Mansourian. And with Persepolis, yeah, I mean, one thing I wanted to point out also, same thing that Sina mentioned, is that, yeah, getting Ali Reza Beiranvand is huge. He's a really good keeper. I enjoy watching him play. We know he could throw the ball really far. I mean, he's got a great talent. And also another thing with Persepolis is that, it looked as if they were going to lose Mehdi Taremi, but they got him right back. And things seem to be moving on all cylinders for them, and will be interesting to see how things go from here on out.
Definitely, right now they've been looking really good in the league, and I believe they're first, if I'm not mistaken. Well, let's talk about next is Esteghlal Khuzestan. Basically, Sina wrote a beautiful article that were like the Leicester City, of Iran, pretty much, winning the league title last minute. Persepolis unfortunately couldn't do it. So, that's obviously a dream story. I believe that their new head coach is right now the head coach of Sepahan, Baisi, if I'm not mistaken. So, Sina, coming off to you, what are your expectations of Esteghlal Khuzestan this year?
Well, I mean, as you said, Esteghlal Khuzestan's achievements were sort of a fairy tale last season. But I think as soon as it was confirmed that they won the league, questions already started to be asked from their manager at the time, Abdullah Vaisi, about his future and the future of his players. And he was very quick to add that he would want to stay at Esteghlal Khuzestan. He would want to continue his work there. But he's looking for guarantees from the club's board that he will be given more funds to invest into the team, to strengthen his team, especially with the Champions League coming. And I think that was not given to him. Those guarantees weren't given to him, and he decided to leave the club and sign for Sepahan, who had a horrible season themselves last season. Obviously, his departure meant some of the players were leaving as well. Their star goalkeeper, Fernando, he decided to sign for Gösteriş Fulad, and possibly their best centre-back, Musa Koulibaly, he followed Vaisi to Sepahan as well. So obviously they had a lot of holes to fill into the team. But I think the core of the team is pretty much the same thing. I mean, the defender, Mohamed Tayyibi, who's also their captain, is still at the club. The top goal scorer, Hassan Beit Said, is still there. And Rahim Zahavi as well, who had a fantastic end to the season and is in the current national team squad. He's still at Esteghlal Khuzestan. And obviously they've brought in some players as well, such as Zatullah Pourghaz alongside others. So I think it's going to be a tough season for them. I don't think they can repeat what they did last season. It'll be very tough for them. Mm-hmm. But I think the fact that they have Asian Champions League to look forward to as well, and I don't believe they have the strength in depth to be able to challenge on both sides. So I think they'll be hoping for mid-table or top half at best. But look, I mean, these are the guys that a lot of people tipped them for relegation last season, and they've ended up winning the league. So it's really tough to predict on the back of that season to say, this is how I think these guys will do. But I think mid-table or top half would be the best they can hope for.
Anything specifically you wanted to add to this, Art?
Yes, I mean, let's just get right to it. Is that, their head coach Sirus Pour Musavi, I think he's almost like in a win-win situation. And as Sina said, it'll be really tough for them to repeat what they did last year. Clearly, they won't sneak up on anyone. They still have some very good weapons. I mean, they like Sina said, they have Rahim Sohaivi, also Hassan Beit Said. And also, of course, they have young players. But the thing is, though, they have young players who have heart. I mean, I don't think they have a lot of egos on their team, and they have such great support from their fans. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what they could do this season. And with all that, I just think they got to play the way they know how to play. And like I said, with their head coach, one thing about their head coach is that he coached under Vaisi, and he's very experienced with Esteghlal Khuzestan. So I honestly believe that there's anyone that could help this team, meet their expectations, it's him. And the fact that they also got Izzatullah Purgaz playing defense, he's a center back. And let's face it also, I even think Izzatullah Purgaz is also like a utility player. You saw him play keeper for Team Eli against Guam in that qualifier that was played in Guam. I know it was only about 15 or 20 minutes, and of course he didn't have to stop any shots. But hey, the guy is a great player. He's 29. He's just recently come into his own with Team Eli, but I think he's a great addition to Esteghlal Khuzestan.
All right. So the next topic I want to get into is obviously the Champions League spot for next season. As you guys know, right now Persepolis is first, second is Tractor Sazi, third is Sana Naf, fourth is Sepahan. Obviously the season just started, so many things can change, even though SLR right now is in the relegation zone, but that doesn't mean anything. Now coming to you, Arash, and I'll get to Sina, is where do you see the Champions League spot from your own prediction? Where do you see things going from there? Which teams do you think will be able to qualify and basically represent base out Iran in Asia? And do you think Persepolis could be that notable team that could, potentially, be that figure with the players they have at hand? Because I've never seen Persepolis so strong in recent years than they have been recently.
Yeah, they are looking good. Naturally, of course, it's really early in the season, but, we're here to make predictions. We're here to talk about this. With their roster, I think Persepolis is looking good to get a Champions League spot, and they're coached by Branko Ivankovic. I mean, he knows Iranian football very well, and I just think they have things going on all cylinders. For the other teams to make it, like I said, it's tough to predict. It's early. I do like the way Tractor Sazi are looking as well. I mean, their coach is Amir Galinoi. I know I probably wasn't a big fan of him when he was head coach of Team Eli, but he's done a good job in the Iranian Pro League. And if I were to just, throw one other team that has a shot at, getting the Champions League, maybe even a qualification spot, I think I'd probably have to go with Sepahan. They always, they seem like they're the type of team that will rebound. They have a good head coach, and I just think that they're one of the teams I'm picking to get that qualification spot.
Sina?
Yeah, I mean, before the season started, I think a lot of people would have expected Persepolis and Esteghlal to qualify for the Champions League. Of course, the first 4 weeks hasn't turned out to be so great for Esteghlal. So I think they have a lot of work to do if they want to qualify for Champions League, because there are some great teams there this season looking to get the top three in the league and qualify for next season's Champions League. Persepolis, for me, are nailed on to win the league. I think if they don't, it's a shambles from their part, because they have the best squad in the league. They play the best football in the league, and they have a great manager. So I think they're definitely the favourites to win it. Toktor Sazi have looked good. They've brought in some great players as well. I think Hadia Mohammadi on loan from Sobahan is one of those transfers that has gone under the radar. And also the return of Edinho, the top goal scorer in the 14-15 season, in which Toktor Sazi just missed out on the title. He's returned in goal scoring form as well. Karar Josem, the controversial Iraqi midfielder, he's looked great as well in the first 4 games. So I think obviously with Galinoi in charge, any team has a chance. He's very experienced in the league, as Arash said, and he's had massive success with other teams. So I think it'll be tough to rule him out. But for the third spot, SLR will be there. Of course, they will want to get to that Champions League spot. But also, I want to give a mention to Saipa as well. I think they have a good young squad. They've been trying to build a team to qualify for Champions League for the last 3-4 seasons, but they've always come short in the second half of the season. Majid Jalali was sacked in the summer, and they brought in Hossein Faraki, who is, for me, one of the best managers in the league. He's very well known for working with young players, and Soipo have a bunch of very talented players in there, and also the signing of Masuda Hassanzadeh from Sobahan, and a couple of other players as well, like Siyama Kurushi from NAF, and of course the fact that they have someone like Mehdi Torabi, who is one of the best prospects in the league, can definitely help them challenge for that Champions League spot. So I think those 3 or 4 teams will be there and about.
Arash, coming off to you again. Obviously, we want to talk about now the promotion and who you expect, the relegation zone and whatnot. Is there anything notable you want to speak about that? Because I know you're speaking of Sanat and Naf, and apparently that's some club that you have a deep desire to talk about at the moment. So, is there anything you would like to add on to this?
Well, yeah, with Sanat Naft, I think they're off to a really great start. I mean, they've only conceded 1 goal. They have 2 wins, 2 draws. Yeah, clearly they haven't really, been showing themselves to be a power, such a force on offense. And their nickname, the Brazil of Iran. Clearly they have a lot of pressure to score more goals. And I mean, but the thing is, whatever it is they're doing a good job so far. And their keeper Hassan Houri, who's known as a leader of that team, he definitely has good things. He has things going well. He's made some good saves, and it doesn't really come as a surprise to me that he's the one wearing the number 1 shirt. I mean, they did sign Agil Etemadi, the Iranian Dutch keeper who came from Almere City, and he hasn't seen the field yet. But like I said, it's not surprising because Hassan Houri is playing very well, and even Reza Nourouzi, he came up with a big goal against Esteghlal in Tehran, and right now I think they're an exciting team, and I'm calling them the boys from Abadan, and I think they could create some more havoc for some of the best teams in the Iranian Pro League.
What about you, Sina?
No, I completely agree. I think you'll very rarely find any football fan in Iran that doesn't want to see Sanataf doing well. They have one of the most passionate set of fans in the country. As Arash said, they are known as Iran's Brazil for their famous yellow and blue kit, and they are one of the oldest clubs in Iran as well. So it's obviously great to see them back into the top division, and they've started fantastically well. They've got a Korean midfielder called Gui Hyun Kim, who is the first Korean to ever play in Iran. And he's started life in Iran very well. He's been immense in the first 4 games, and obviously they've kept the core of their team from last season, in which they've got promoted. The likes of Ali Abdullahzadeh and Hossein Baghlani, they're still there in the team. They're still performing as well as they did last season. So I think they've got a lot of reason to be hopeful for the rest of the season. I think they will remain in the league. Obviously, it's still early. But if they keep working as hard as they have done in the first 4 weeks and try to avoid injuries to their big players, then I think they have a great chance at staying in the league.
Now I want to talk about right now, there's been a couple of weeks and obviously gone into the, golf league. So I just want to get into it. Coming off to you again, Sina. Has there been any surprises? Obviously, I highly doubt that you expected Esteghlal to be starting off like this, and if there's any notable things that you've seen, especially I don't know what the situation with Yahya Gol Mohammadi is, if you guys want to speak about that, but that'd be interesting to talk about too. So starting off with you, Sina.
Yeah, I mean, it's Esteghl's first 4 games has been very. It's been really frustrating to watch, because I think if you look at them, if you watch the way they play, even with all the changes they've made in the summer, managerial changes in their lineup, they still play the same style that they did last season under Parviz Mazloumi, and it's really frustrating because they've spent all this money but they still play the long ball football that they had last season, which failed. So obviously, I would like them to see them. I would like to see them improve, because I think Iranian league will need Persepolis and Istiklal to be doing well if they want to, reach their maximum potential. But I think they will have to improve. They've hit rock bottom now. They're in the relegation zone. It can't get any worse than it is now. So the pressure, the way I look at it, the pressure's off. So they can just go and play and get some results, get a win. Obviously, they've not won a single game yet. But I think he has some work to do, Alireza Mansourian. The defence looks really leaky at the moment. They're leaking goals. So that needs some fixing. But I think one of the things that need to be mentioned as well, obviously we spoke about Sanat and Naft, but also Mashin Sazi Tabriz, another team who is promoted. They've done really well. They've had an interesting summer. They've signed some big players, which was unexpected. Andranik Teimourian, the Team Melli captain, is playing for them. Is their captain as well. I think he missed the first 2 games, but he's slowly getting into the team now. They've signed some other. Payam Staderian is another one. So they've got some good players, and Rasul Khatibi is in charge of them. So I think they will do really well this season. I think they will definitely survive in the league. Paycon as well, obviously they were promoted. They spent massively in the summer too, signing players such as Arash Eftekhari and Amir Hossein Sadeghi and Rahman Ahmadi, some of the most experienced players in the league. Obviously it'll be interesting to see how they do, because they've signed some players who are veterans of the league. Really, they're 33, 34 plus. So it'll be interesting to see how they do. You'd think experience might get them to survive, but also the lack of energy and pace in their team might really cost them. So we'll see how they get on.
Arash?
Yeah, with some of the other, like Sina mentioned, some of the other teams that got promoted, Mashin, Sazi, and Paykan. With Mashin Sazi, yeah, I mean they have Andranik Teimourian. That's who wouldn't want him to be on their team. And of course, you mentioned they're coached by Rasul Khatibi. He is respected very much amongst a lot of Iranian football fans. Just the one thing involving Khatibi is that I just think as long as he doesn't teach his strikers how to avoid how to beat the offsides trap, I think they'll be fine there. And with Paykan, yeah, I like what their roster looks like. I think it's cool that they have Rahman Ahmadi as their keeper, wearing the number 1 shirt. He was very important for Team Melli in that huge qualifier at South Korea that led to Iran qualifying for the 2014 World Cup. And Arash Borhani, that's a name I haven't heard too much lately, but I'm really looking forward to seeing. I'm looking forward to reading more articles about him. There was a time, of course, he made himself very famous. He made a name for himself at Istiklal in Tehran, and I think now playing for Paykan, I'd like to see what he could do here as well.
Before we wrap this up now, obviously I spoke about promotions and, your thoughts on, what's happening right now. So let's talk about, obviously I know it's just predictions, but if we could just talk about relegation, which teams you think are probably going to get relegated? Coming off with you, Arash, who would you say that, are going to get relegated? And after that, we're going to talk about, predictions as is, who's going to finish top 4 and then champions.
Well, in all honesty, looking at the standings, I mean, I know it's early, but when you see teams at the bottom, I would say some of the teams at the bottom, like Paykan, maybe Fulad, Khuzestan, those are teams that I would say maybe have a chance of being relegated. I definitely won't put Istiklal, Tehran in that category. I mean, with the talent they have on their team, there's no way they're going to keep sliding. I mean, that's just my prediction. I'm sure the Istiklal fans hope for the same thing. But overall, I mean, it's hard to say who the other team might be. I would possibly say Padide, but other than that, it's a long way to go, and it's we're gonna have to see what these teams can do.
Sina?
I think we spoke about the transfer window, of course. one of the teams who had, in my eyes, the worst summer in Iran was Sababatri, Sabaqom, as they're known. They had some financial troubles, which meant their sponsors pulled out and they lost a lot of funding. Ali Dai resigned from his role as manager of the club, and they've lost a lot of their key players, such as Arlam Tab, who moved to Persepolis, their star player Jalaluddin Ali Mohammadi, who signed for Sepahan. So I think it'll be really, really tough for them, especially with someone like Samad Marfovi in charge, who he's a really odd manager. He's never achieved anything as a manager, but he continues to get the top jobs in Iran, and it's really weird for me because I really can't see them surviving in the league unless they have a massive winter transfer window and they bring in some big names. Because not only they have a really poor squad, I think even their starting 11 could possibly be the worst in the league, but also their bench is even worse. But the fact that they have Samad Marfovi in charge means they have even less of a chance to survive in the league. So for me, they're definitely down there to get relegated. It'll take a lot for them to survive. But as Arash mentioned, Padida is also another name. I tipped them to get relegated last season, and they stayed up. They finished mid-table, but I'm still going for them to get relegated this season. But we'll see how they get on. They play some good football, but unfortunately for me, on paper the quality isn't there to see them survive. But it'll be interesting to see how they'll do. But also another big name that could get relegated this season is Fulad Khuzestan. This is a team that won the 13-14 league title with a bunch of very talented young players. The team has been pulled apart because of military service. Surush Rafi'i is still at Taraktor Sazi. Bakhtiyar Rahmani has ended up at Istiqlal. And they've lost a lot of their main players, and right now they're looking like they'll be down there for a relegation battle. Their manager Naim Asadovi has never managed a senior team, and it'll be really tough for him. So, although I definitely don't like to see them get relegated, because I think they're one of the big teams in the league, and we definitely need them in the top division. But they'll definitely have a fight on their hand to survive in the league.
Right. Obviously, now I want to talk about who you guys initially thought was going to be the champions of this season, and then coming up to you against Sina might be a little bit hard for you. But at the moment, it seems like Persepolis on team sheet, they seem pretty good, especially how close they were to winning the league last season. Would you agree that you probably would say that the odds of them winning the league is high today?
Listen, last season they were really unlucky. I think what really cost them last season was their defensive record. The fact that they had Susha Makoni in goal, and he made a lot of mistakes, and their back four was constantly chopping and changing, and that didn't help, even though they were scoring a lot of goals. But I think this season that's fixed. They have a solid back four. They have a very, very good goalkeeper. And it seems like they've sorted their defensive problems out. They still play the same attractive football they played last season. Obviously, with Mehdi Taremi up front and the addition of Vahid Amiri, who's also another goal scorer. Again, it's really tough for them not to win it. I think they have some interesting partnerships all over the pitch. Great team chemistry. Everyone seems to get on well with each other, and everyone has a respect of Branko Ivankovic as well, and there seems to be mutual respect between the players and the manager, and obviously that always helps. So I think they'll definitely win the league, and I think I'm personally really, really excited to see them in the Champions League too, because I think they can really go far with this team. Mm-hmm. If they manage to keep this team, then I think they can really go far in the Champions League as well. So for me, Persepolis are nailed on to win the league. But the Champions League spots, as I said, SLL will hope to be there, but it'll be interesting to see how they try and bounce back from the first 4 weeks, and whether they can actually bounce back or not. And Toronto Sazi will be there, and maybe Saipa. Who knows?
Arash?
Yeah, I definitely have to agree that Persepolis is the favorite to win. I know Traktor Sazi, they'll give them a run for their money. But just the way things have gone for Persepolis, it's hard for me to not pick them because what can you say? They became a better team also by signing players from NAFT Tehran. They got Vahid Amiri. They also got keeper Ali Reza Beiranvand. They're looking good. I like players on their team like Mohammad Ansari, and I even think they made out like bandits. When you take a look at this, they got those two Ukrainian players, Oleksiy Polyansky and Volodymyr Priomov. And it looked for a moment, we saw that, okay, they're losing Mehdi Taremi, but then Taremi comes right back, and it's like, okay, now the top scorer from last season is back, and you just know they're going to be an exciting team to watch under Branko Ivankovic.
I got two more questions to ask for you guys. It will be quick. Call me off with Jarash. Who would you say is probably going to be the best player in the league? Do you think it's going to be Taremi, or do you think it's going to be somebody else? And I'll ask the same thing to Sina.
Well, clearly, that would be my quick answer on who I think is going to be the best player in the league. It's got to be Mehdi Taremi. He scores goals all the time. He knows how to find the net, and right now he's my pick. But one player I do want to mention, and Sina mentioned him earlier, is that one other player that's worth mentioning. He's not on Persepolis, but it's Mehdi Torabi, and he's a very exciting player. He's easily arguably the best young prospect in Iran. He's exciting. He creates awesome situations for his teammates. He finds the net. He's been great so far for Saipa. He does well when he plays for Team LE. He's also done a good job playing for Iran's under-23 squad. So those are the two players worth watching the most. I think those are the players that are going to be watched the most this season.
Sina?
Yeah, I agree. I think obviously Taremi, if he scores the goals that he did last season, if he scores as many goals as he did, and Persepolis end up winning the league, then I think he will definitely be considered to be the player of the season. Torabi, of course, is another one. If Saipa do manage to get one of the Champions League spots, then Torabi will definitely have had a fantastic season because already he's started well. I think he's already got 2 or 3 goals. So those two names are definitely there. I think Edinho will be considered. Obviously, he's had a fantastic goal scoring record in Iran previously, but I think he'll be able to keep that up this season as well and score a great amount for Traktor Sazi. And who knows, they might upset Persepolis and win the league. Who knows?
And then the last question I have for you guys, who you guys think will be the manager of the season? Sina?
I mean, again, with that, I think it'll most probably go to the team that will win the league. And,
yeah.
I think obviously that'll be Persepolis. So Ivankovic will be up there. I mean, depending on who wins the Hazfi Cup as well, it might be one of the lower teams. They come up, they have a fantastic run of games, and they win the Hazfi Cup, and the manager might get manager of the season. I think Gösteriş Fulad are that team for me. I think if there is any team from mid-table that can win the Hazfi Cup, is Gösteriş, and Faraz Kamalband as their manager. Who knows, he might be one of the names that will get mentioned as manager of the year.
Arash?
Yeah, for me, what can I say? I don't have any kind of bold prediction. It's probably pretty predictable. But yeah, I mean, I feel like if Persepolis win, it's got to be Branko Ivankovic. And one thing I will add now is that I think if we see Istiklal Tehran make a huge turnaround, I think it could definitely be Ali Reza Mansourian. I mean, he's the perfect guy to be running Istiklal. I mean, they obviously have not got off to an ideal start, but I don't think it's time for the Istiklal fans to, ring the alarm bells.
Well, that's it. We'll just wrap this up. Hopefully, that was a pretty constructive, debate going on, some great discussion. Hopefully next time we'll just keep this on a consistent basis for the listeners. I want to thank you guys again for coming on. It's always great to have these sort of discussions. And please subscribing to us on iTunes, on SoundCloud, and then we're just trying to keep this on a consistent basis. And then obviously in the bios, there's our Twitter information for anybody that wants to find them. Thank you guys. It's been great. It's been a pleasure to talk to you guys.
Great talking to you both.
Yeah, good being here. Thanks a lot.